Demi, thank you so much for joining us on this Imagine Better Talking Heads series that we run at Passion Digital. Everyone out there, this is Demi Newlands. She is an account manager within our paid media team, and she works across some of Passion's biggest clients, including those in the automotive and the property sector. She's also the worthy winner of the Rising Star Award that was in the UK Paid Media Awards this year in 2024. I think everyone can agree that she is the best person at Passion to be speaking about this exciting and dynamic channel that is programmatic advertising. So Demi, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. As you said, I think a lot of my day-to-day does involve sort of running full funnel strategies across platforms like paid search, paid social, programmatic. So yeah, I'm really happy to be here today chatting with you and to answer your questions.
Amazing. So today I'm going to be positioning myself as a brand,
Yeah,
thinking about their paid media strategy. So I've got a few questions on sort of general what programmatic is and how brands can start to use it in their wider paid media strategy. So let's
sure.
dive straight in.
Cool.
So as a brand, my first question is to you, what is programmatic advertising and why should brands involve it as part of their marketing strategy?
Of course, cool. So I guess programmatic advertising involves placing high impact personalized formats on highly relevant websites to your sales prospects. There are a whole range of programmatic platforms available to help automate this process. In our case, we use a platform called StackAdapt, which will help find the best places to show your ads. It will negotiate the price in real time and it will streamline all of your performance data into one hub. I guess in terms of when a brand should involve it as part of their marketing strategy, this will obviously vary client by client, but a few key examples would include when a brand wants to reach a specific audience. So, programmatic is a great opportunity to target specific demographics, interests, online behaviors, and so on, which can make it a really powerful tool if you know who your ideal client is. It's also a really good platform to run side by side with some of your more traditional forms of paid media, such as Google Ads and or Meta, perhaps. For example, it's just quite an easy way to escalate your existing activity and scale your campaigns quite quickly while still optimizing towards performance. At Passion, we also like to use data-driven approaches. So if you are comfortable or used to using a lot of data and analytics platforms to inform your marketing decisions, then programmatic can also be a really good fit as it relies quite heavily on data to sort of target audiences and measure those results.
As a brand, if I'm ticking all of those boxes and I'm ready to go now programmatic, where would I start?
So I guess the first thing to note is that if you do want to run programmatic, I would suggest getting in touch with a specialist agency who can help make that process a lot more straightforward for you. But from a top line perspective, the first thing you would do is set out what your goals are. For example, do you want to run programmatic as a brand awareness strategy? Are you looking to get lead gen out of it, or is it something else? On top of that, just ensure you know who you are trying to reach with your ads. The more specific you can be with demographics and interests, the better your overall performance would be.
Mhm.
Then the next step, which is probably equally as important, is to choose a DSP. So this is a demand side platform that allows you to buy ad inventory programmatically. As I mentioned earlier, we recommend and tend to use StackAdapt as it's a very reliable platform that also is very user friendly. Although I guess it's important to note that no matter which platform you use, managing these campaigns can be very complex, which is where partnering with an agency can be really helpful. So once all of your groundwork is done and you're ready to get up and running, the next step is to get all of your creative together and start building out your campaigns. From a creative perspective, you can be very flexible in the types of ad formats you use. So it can include things like static images, videos, GIFs, interactive formats, which sort of change when you hover over them, which is really nice. So you can get really creative there. But probably sort of key takeaway is that it's definitely not a set and forget type of platform. So it is essential to keep monitoring your campaigns, keep an eye on key metrics such as your impressions, your clicks, conversions, etc. And then you can use that data collectively to determine the strongest performing assets and just keep working towards better results.
Amazing. That's really good to know. Um, is there any sort of differences or how is programmatic utilized in different verticals?
So I guess programmatic can be adapted to fit the specific needs and target audiences of many verticals. But I think some common examples would be e-commerce. So you can create different audience lists that target consumers who are actively in market, for example. You could use it to retarget users who have been on the site but not purchased anything. You can even use dynamic ads to showcase product recommendations based on previous user browsing behaviors. I think travel is another popular example, and it's quite similar to e-commerce, but again, you can just be really smart and segment activity by destinations, for example, targeting users based on their research and habits. So if they've been looking at any specific locations on the website or reading any blogs, you could even use it to promote like last minute holiday deals, for example. I think another good example is at Passion. So you mentioned that we work with an automotive client. So we actively use Programmatic to showcase their tactical offers. That includes browsing audiences as well as retargeting users on the website who haven't converted yet. And then we carefully monitor to ensure that we're displaying ads on relevant websites where a sort of target audience would be searching on.
Right. Okay. Well, it kind of sounds like programmatic's a bit of a dream.
Yeah,
But
good.
but are there any sort of considerations that brands should have before embarking on this programmatic adventure?
Yeah, I would say there's definitely a few considerations to keep in mind before you did launch. So, the first one, and probably in my opinion, one of the most important things, is to note that you need to have a sort of keep in mind the data quality and technical ability. I think in order to successfully optimize campaigns, you need to have access to high quality data, and then be able to correctly read that data within the hub to influence your decisions. In line with that, you need to ensure that you have enough time available to sort of get set up, to regularly check in on performance and just sort of general ongoing monitoring. Another factor would probably be the cost. So you do need a sort of fairly big budget to run programmatic activity. Also be sure to sort of factor in any additional costs such as platform fees, for example. So just keep that in mind. And then my last recommendation would probably be to stick to a reputable platform. In the past, a lot of this type of activity has been susceptible to sort of fraudulent activity,
Mm,
like click fraud, for example. So just ensure that you do trust and have researched whoever you choose to partner with, such as StackAdapt, for example.
Okay. Brilliant. That's really insightful. Um, I hear a lot about programmatic and where it's going. Where do you see programmatic advertising going in the future?
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting because the digital landscape we live in is constantly evolving and things change so quickly. But I think there will probably be a few key trends shaping up this year. So, firstly, I know you're sort of on top of this already, but the sort of deprecation of third-party cookies is definitely on the horizon, if not here already, if Google don't keep pushing it back. So, there's probably likely to be quite a change in audience targeting and new measurements capabilities, which will need to be sort of tested and integrated into strategies moving forward. Additionally, I think that AI will have a big impact and enhance ad creatives. For example, you can already use AI to create all your creative messaging, etc. So the tone of the ads, the ability to sharpen up on brand consistency across channel, and so much more. So that's resulting in advertisers having a lot more time on their hands to focus on other areas of their campaign rather than having to sort of create ads from scratch, reform them, resize them,
Mm,
and so on.
mm. Wow. Well, it sounds like a really interesting space to keep an eye on. So I definitely will be doing that. But thank you so much, Demi, for all your time and your valuable insights there. I'm sure the audience will take away quite a lot from that.
Nice, you're welcome. I hope that was helpful.